Today, we're diving into one of the most classic ways people talk about building wealth through rental properties. You hear about it all the time, but is it really as simple as it sounds? Well, let's unpack that. We've all heard the stories, haven't we? That person who bought a small property, rented it out, and now they're living this dream life. The whole idea, the big promise, is that owning real estate can be way more than just having a roof over your head. It can be a serious engine for building wealth. And the source material we're looking at today, it boils this entire dream down to that one powerful phrase. It's such a bold claim, and honestly, it's what gets so many people excited about this idea in the first place. Okay, but what does that actually mean? In the real world, how can owning a house that someone else lives in supposedly lead to you becoming wealthy? Let's get into the nitty-gritty of it. All right, to really get a grip on this, we've got to break it down into its most basic parts. So let's walk through the mechanics, step by step, of how this model is supposed to work. At its very core, the idea is incredibly straightforward. You, the investor, buy a place with a loan from the bank. Then you rent it out, and the money your tenants pay in rent is used to pay off that loan over time. The appeal is right there in the simplicity, isn't it? It's not about crazy stock market moves. It's about a physical, tangible thing that, in theory, someone else helps you pay for. So really, it all comes down to these three key moves. First, you buy a house using the bank's money. That's called leverage. Second, you find people to live in it, your tenants. And third, and this is the absolute magic of the whole concept, you take their monthly rent check and use it to make your mortgage payments. So, okay, the loan is getting paid off by someone else. That's pretty great. But where does the real wealth come from? Well, according to this strategy, your investment is actually being powered by two different profit engines, both running at the same time. And here they are side by side. Your first engine is that loan repayment. Every single month, your tenant's rent is chipping away at your mortgage. That builds your ownership stake in the property, what they call equity. At the same time, you've got a second engine running, property appreciation. This is the idea that over the long haul, the house itself will just become more valuable. Let's just pause on that first engine for a second, because this is the part that gets everyone's attention. Think about it. Every month that goes by, another person is essentially buying you a house. They are paying down the debt on your asset. You aren't taking that money out of your pocket to pay down the loan principal. They are. And then there's engine number two, appreciation. This visual says it all. You buy the property at today's price, right? That's the first bar. But over the years, thanks to things like inflation and supply and demand, the actual market value of that same house, the future value, is expected to grow. And that gap between what you paid and what it's worth later, that's pure profit when you decide to sell. So when you put it all together, when you have both of those engines running at full steam, you can really start to see why this gets described as a simple path. On paper, the mechanics themselves are really not that complicated. So let's just recap the whole thing one more time. You buy a place with borrowed money. Your tenant's rent covers that loan. And your wealth grows in two ways, through the forced savings of that loan getting paid down and the potential for the property to become more valuable over time. And this, right here, this is the million-dollar question, isn't it? The concept is definitely simple, but making it actually work is a whole other story. What are those key things, the right location, good tenants, managing repairs, that make the difference between a successful investment and an absolute financial nightmare? Because while the path might look simple on a slide, successfully navigating it, well, that's the real challenge. And that's the big question this idea leaves us with.